Fractions, Part 6. In today's lesson, students will learn how to change improper fractions into mixed numbers. Into what? Very good. So now that you know how to do operations with fractions, we need to take a look at some different types of fractions. The first one that you are familiar with is improper fractions. So write for me an improper. Okay, an improper fraction, like 5/2 or 5/2. Okay, this is an improper fraction. Why? What can you tell me about the numerator? Is the numerator bigger than the denominator? Yes. So an improper fraction is when the numerator is, what goes here? Bigger than the, what do you call the bottom of a fraction? It's called what? The denominator. Okay? So let me show you what we're going to do today with improper fractions. This is an improper fraction, right? 5/2. So what I've done is I've drawn some halves for you. What I want you to do is color in 5 of those halves. We're going to shade in 5 of those halves. So we're going to shade in 5. You ready? We're going to shade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, what can you tell me about what I've shaded? I've shaded 5 halves, right? Well, when you shade, for example, 2/2, this is what? This is one whole, right? That's one whole. So this is one whole that I've shaded. What about this one here? Have I shaded one whole here? Yeah, I've shaded one whole here as well. Okay, I'll put that on top. Now, what am I have one whole and one whole. So one whole and one whole, 1 plus 1. Everybody knows 1 plus 1, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. And what about this fraction that I still have left? What do you call this fraction? It's 1 out of how many pieces? 2. So this is 1/2, right? So you have 2 wholes with 1/2 left over, okay? We call this 2.5. So because 2.5 has a whole number, 2, with a fraction, okay, we can't call it a fraction anymore. What we call it is a mixed number. Mixed. It's mixed because it has a whole number with a fraction. So, a mixed number is a whole number with a fraction right next to it. Okay, write that down. So it'll be important for you to be able to change improper fractions to mixed numbers when you're working with fractions and problems. So Ms. Coe, how do you change improper fractions to mixed numbers? Well, the answer is division. The answer is what? Very good. So you're going to write to change. We're going to write improper fractions into mixed numbers. Okay. What you have to do is first divide the numerator, which is the number on top, by the denominator. Okay. So divide the numerator by the denominator. A lot of people have a hard time with this when they see, for example, 8/3. 8/3 is what kind of fraction? Is the top bigger than the bottom? Yes. So what do we call this fraction? It's called what? It's an improper fraction. If I want to change it to a mixed number, I have to use division. Now, this is my little division house, okay? And a lot of people aren't sure which number goes where, okay? So you have to remember something. It's going to help you. What is the top number of this fraction? It's 8, right? Okay. So the top number is going to go inside of the division house, okay? So the top is going to go in. So we're going to write top in, okay? So the top number is going to go in, and the bottom number, or your divisor, you're dividing by the bottom number. What's the bottom number? It's 3. So the numerator, or the bottom number, goes out. Okay. Did you all write that down? Okay. So everyone repeat. Say top in, bottom out. Say it again. Say top in, bottom out. Very important. And because you have an improper fraction, you'll always be dividing by a smaller number, right? Because the definition of an improper fraction is what? When the numerator is bigger than the denominator, right? So you're always dividing by a denominator that's smaller. So for example, 8 divided by 3. And we can all do that, right? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to try and find what is the whole number. Or the question that you're asked is, how many times can you skip count by 3 to get to 8, right? Or how many times does 3 go into 8? You hear that a lot, right? So first you're going to try and find the whole number. All right, so when we skip count to 3, we get to 3, 6, but 9's too big, right? So we can only count 2 whole times, right? Okay, then we know there's going to be a remainder. So what we need to do is find that remainder by multiplying. We say 2 times 3 is 6. Then subtract, okay? Subtract 8 minus 6. How much is going to be left over? How much will be left over? Come on. What is 8 minus 6? How much is left over? It's 2, right? So we're going to write down here, I'm going to write 2. Okay. This little 2. There's 2 left over, and you can also write it here. There's 2 left over, so it is now going to be the top of my fraction. So the remainder in this case it's 2. Okay? It becomes the numerator. Of the fraction. Now, what is going to be the denominator? What do you think? What's going to be the denominator of the fraction? It's going to be 2, and 2 out of how much is left over? We're working in thirds, right? So whatever number that is the bottom number, or the denominator, also becomes the denominator in your mixed number, okay? So go ahead and write that the out number, or the bottom number, okay, the bottom number of this original fraction is the denominator. Okay, so whatever you are that goes outside of the division house is the denominator of the new fraction. So then 8/3, write it over here, 8/3 is an improper fraction. It is equal to 2 wholes with 2/3 left over. So We call this mixed number 2 2/3. So those are equal. So we have changed from an improper to a mixed number. So let's try example number 1. And for all of these, you're going to be changing improper to mixed numbers. So the improper fraction, write it down for me, is 18 divided by 5. And then you have this division house right here. So to remember, where does the numerator go and where does the denominator go? You're going to remember TBO. What are you going to remember? TBO. What does that stand for? Oh, right. It stands for top in, bottom out. Say it again. Top in, bottom out. Okay, so the top number is what? What's the numerator? Top number is what? It's 18, right? So we're going to put the top in. And we're going to put the bottom number, we're working in fifths, dividing by 5, we're going to put it out. This is saying 18 divided by 5 means 18 in the box, divided by 5 out. Then ask yourself, how many times can I skip count by 5 to get to 18? And we can go ahead and make tallies up here. We can say 5, 10, 15. Ooh, can we go to 20? No, 20 is too big. Your whole number should be 3, okay? Or the quotient should be 3. Okay, well, we're going to have a remainder here. So next you're going to put a multiplication sign, because this is how we divide to find remainders. 3 times 5, we know, is 15, right? 5, 10, 15. Then you subtract. What is 18 minus or subtract 15? What is left? What is left? Count back. Say 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, so you have 3 left over. Remember, I write 3 in purple because my top numbers are purple, right? So this 3, okay, here's the trickiest part. I want you to look at 2 things. You're going to put, for example, put a triangle around 3. You could put a circle around 5, okay? Now, this is a fraction. The top number is 3. That's going to be the top number. So we have 3 left over out of how many pieces? What are we dividing by? The bottom number becomes the denominator. So our answer is 3 3/5. What's the answer? 3 3/5. Very good. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. The improper fraction is 16 divided by 7, or 16/7. We need to change this into a mixed number. And how do you do that? By using division. By using what? Division. Okay, so you have this division house. You figure out where to put the numerator and the denominator. What are we dividing by? Well, this reads 16 divided by 7. So if you know the 7 is the divisor, you know the 7 is going to go here, right? But if you don't remember TiVo, not TiVo. Oh, no. Don't watch TV. Watch Miss Cotran's YouTube channel. Bing. Anyway, so TiVo stands for top, in, bottom, out. It stands for what? Top, in, bottom, out. Top, in, bottom, out. Top, in, bottom, out. Get it right. Please, thank you. If I say top in, bottom out, what do I mean? What is the top of the fraction? The top of the fraction is what? It is 16, right? Okay. What's the bottom of the fraction? What's the denominator? 7, right? Okay, 7. We're dividing by 7. How many times can we skip count by 7 to get to 16? Okay? We say 7, 14, 20. Wait. Can we only get to 14? You don't want to go to 21. It's too big. Okay, you're always going to have a remainder, see? So how many times can you count by 7 to get to 16? Only 2 times. You're going to have a remainder. Let's find out what that remainder is, because it's actually going to be a fraction. All right, so then we're going to multiply 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is, what is it, 2 times 7? I already told you, it's 14. See how it works? Okay, now you're going to subtract these numbers. 16 take away 14. So just think, what's 6 minus 4? 6 minus 4 is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Very good. Okay. 2 is left over. If 2 is the remainder, 2 is actually not a whole number, it's a fraction. Okay? 2 becomes the top of the fraction. And what number is the bottom of this fraction now? It's going to be 2 and 2, what? It's going to be 2 and 2 sevenths, right? 2 and 2 sevenths. So 7 goes into 16 2 whole times with 2 sevenths left over. Go ahead and write that down.